Hi, and welcome to Stronger Together, the series from Microsoft for Startups, where we interview leaders of startups to discuss how they're addressing the challenges of this global COVID-19 pandemic. I'm David Smith, a cloud advocate at Microsoft, and today we're joined by Scott Roth, CTO at Hive Networks. Welcome, Scott. Thanks for being here.
It's a pleasure being invited to this conversation. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. And we're really looking forward to hearing how you've been responding here because it's mid-May 2020 right now. And as you know, there's COVID-19 everywhere around the world. Just for our audience, where are you and how have you been doing?
Our main location's in Cincinnati, Ohio, with employees in Washington, D.C. and California. So we're already somewhat remote. We're doing fairly well and looking to continue to advance kind of our technology platform quite rapidly based upon the demand for our solution.
So Scott, tell me about Hive Networks.
So Hive Networks is a mission-driven technology company, and what our purpose is to build a centralized technology platform for clinicians, patients, parents, doctors, researchers, and their teams to improve the quality of life for people with rare and chronic conditions.
All right, well, that's great. Well, tell me a little bit about the history. Like, what's your background and how did Hive Networks get started?
So my background is in software engineering and leading product development teams delivering technology solutions to address business needs. I specifically joined healthcare about 12 years ago. I became involved in a startup community in 2002 and fell in love with solving problems with technology that had not been previously solved effectively. In 2008, I joined a startup in the healthcare to help spread and scale technology out of Mayo Clinic and Cincinnati Children's Hospital help patients with mental illness. At that time, I finally realized my dream of creating technology solutions that truly impacted people's lives and made them better. The Anderson Center for Health System Excellence at Cincinnati Children's Hospital, along with the Institute for Healthcare Improvement, has created a proven model showing that the Learning Healthcare Network methodologies improve the quality of care better than the standard of practice. So Hive Networks is just over 14 months old, and our mission is to provide a technology platform to bring together parents, patients, family members, clinicians and their teams, and researchers and their teams in a learning network to improve the quality of care for patients with rare and chronic conditions. In order to spread and scale that technology, a centralized technology platform is essential for novice users, for advanced users to collaborate, utilize these proven improvement science methodologies, and provide the necessary data and analytics of the patient outcomes data to improve the quality of care for these patients.
So you've been going about 14 months now, and sort of thinking back from before this crisis hit, can you just give me like one representative example of the kinds of things that Hive Networks was doing?
So our main mission was to deliver that technology platform for the Learning Health Networks. Honestly, the COVID situation hasn't changed it that much. Our mission not only will help out those COVID communities that I mentioned, but also the Learning Health Network. So the great thing about what this situation has brought to us is we have many more users on our system, and I'm a big believer in delivering technology based upon the user's needs and designing the systems around those users. So the flood of bigger communities that we have in our system now are just going to help us out much better in the long run. Okay,
so help me understand that better. If I am a physician or a healthcare provider or even a patient with COVID-19, how do I interact with your system?
So right now, in terms of the COVID communities, it's just the professionals. It's not the patients at this point. So it's patients, it's doctors, it's researchers, it's healthcare administrators across the world sharing best practices, sharing their experiences, sharing things that are working for them, but also problems that they're having so they can quickly solve and work together so we can all move and solve this thing together across the world.
Okay. I don't know. Obviously, this is a medical situation, so I don't know what you can share, but do you have any sort of anecdotes or stories of how people have been using Hive in this particular crisis?
Yeah, I absolutely couldn't share like the patient information or things of that nature, but we're all learning different things in the different cities, the different states, the different countries across the world, and we're all experiencing different things. So as these doctors have found ways to solve problems or different standards of procedures that are working well, they're sharing those across the board. I can't name any specific ones, honestly, because I'm not on the site. We provide this technology for the end user so they can interact. I, as a Hive customer or a Hive employee, I'm just there to support the system.
Right.
We don't influence the communities, nor there's sensitive data out there that we want to protect, and Hive employees just don't interact with those end users. So I don't have any specific stories this time, but I would imagine in the next several months we'll have several very good success stories coming out of it based upon the interactions that I've seen with doctors, but also side conversations.
Yeah. Has the change from in-person healthcare to remote healthcare, has that changed things for you or for your clients?
It's definitely, I've heard a lot of conversations in our community about telehealth, obviously. Being able to address a patient's rare chronic condition via telehealth. Mental health is also a big issue when it comes to the COVID pandemic. Everybody's stuck at home. There's definitely a higher incidence of mental health issues right now. The telehealth industry definitely is here to stay. And I see more and more talk about that and more acceptance of that in the communities now. And I think that it's going to benefit many of us in the long term.
Okay, very good. Let's talk about the engineering side of things a little bit, because you mentioned earlier on that you've had sort of a big uptick in users on the platform. Has that been difficult to respond to? Like, what kind of challenges have you had to overcome on the engineering side to deal with that kind of scale?
Yeah, it was a perfect timing, honestly, for Hive, because we had just recently moved over to the Microsoft Azure cloud platform. So it's allowed us to quickly scale up and create kind of that secure production environment that we need, but also the internal environments we need to support our company needs. And in turn, it's supporting our customers. And as a fast moving startup company, we continue to evolve our processes to improve productivity and efficiency. And Microsoft Teams has done a fantastic job for us with that, with our daily stand-ups and our other meetings, to keep things moving quickly, to make sure we're prioritizing the right things. And then the Azure DevOps continues to help us quickly evolve and keep track of the higher priority work and making sure we're working on the right things and releasing them quickly. Because there is definitely a lot of fantastic feedback from our end users that we want to address quickly and get in their hands.
Okay. And just talking about the sort of how things have changed for you as a company, were you sort of an in-person at an office type of company before, and now it's remote? And how has that changed things?
Yeah, so we were definitely an in-person company. We're a 15-person company at this point with a couple remote employees, and we were in a 130-year-old house on the first floor. It was easy to have face-to-face stand-ups where you could have communication multiple times a day. If you had a question, you need to work something out, you could walk over to somebody's office, you could brainstorm on a whiteboard. And honestly, the transition going remotely worked really well with Microsoft Teams in terms of being able to track day-to-day activities, having quick communications, being able to pull whomever in a quick meeting, because everybody's sitting at their computer anyways, and you can talk face-to-face on video, and it's clear, it's concise, and it's actually worked really well for us. And the team has really adapted well to it.
That's good. It sounds like you've been able to recapture some of that interaction that you had there before, which is amazing. I also know that you're a Microsoft for Startups partner company. Can you talk a little bit about how that's helped you to get Hive where it is now and how it's helped you through this crisis?
Absolutely. And in terms of how it's helped us out, we from day one were a Microsoft platform shop. And what the Startups program allowed us to do was move over to the Microsoft Azure environment more quickly. In terms of not only the Azure cloud environment moving from another hosting facility, it allows us to take advantage of a lot of the Azure services in terms of more rapid development. We don't have to rebuild things that are already services available out there that we can leverage. And if we don't have to rebuild it, we can leverage those services and help us build stuff quicker to reach our customers' demand. That's been invaluable to us and continues to be invaluable to us in terms of the roadmap we had already planned in terms of supporting multi-language, being able to enhance our search functionality. So it's very important in terms of these communities for people to come in and find and search and get the information that they deeply desire quickly. And the search functionality and the services that Azure provides allows us to do that quickly, which in turn keeps our customers happy, and that's where we're in business.
All right. So you mentioned sort of there were some things you were thinking about building, but you're using Azure Services now because they're there. What are some examples of the services you're using?
So in terms of I just mentioned the search. We're taking advantage of a lot of that stuff. We're going to be using cognitive services for the multi-language. So I mentioned we have 70 countries on our platform right now. It is all in English, but obviously there are people in other countries that have they need to have their native language in order to communicate better. So in our global site, there's many people in South America, specifically Brazil, and some of the other countries that they have their own specific groups to communicate internally across their language, but we want them to be able to communicate with the people across the globe. So the multi-language services are really important to us in the short term. Additionally, all of the services that Azure has provided for us in terms of security, in terms of disaster recovery, high availability, et cetera, has been invaluable for us.
Oh, that's really, really great to hear. And just thinking forward now, obviously a lot of short-term changes in your business with this crisis, but how do you think the pandemic is going to change things for your business in the long term?
So in terms of the long term, the pandemic definitely allowed us a time to prove ourselves not only to our investors, our users, but the entire community that there is a need for this. And we are the technology team to provide that quickly in a way that is commercial ready, that is something that meets the demand quickly. And we continue to prove that. We continue to prove that out with the COVID sites, but also with the other learning health network communities that we're creating. All
right, very good. And lastly, just given all these changes and you as a CTO, of a startup, anything you've learned throughout this process you might share with other people in your same situation?
Yeah. So as I mentioned, I've been in the startup community for about 18 years now, and in terms of building a team, it was really important to us to bring on people that believed in our mission, were able to quickly adapt and quickly pivot, and really build together things as a team. So I can't stress enough how important when you have a startup early on to bring in people that fit the culture and believe in what you're delivering so you can get through the rough times. I mean, early on when the COVID pandemic started, we had some intense challenges to get the technology where it needed to be a global solution. And the team pulled together, quickly created that, quickly provided it, and we've rolled with the punches as we're getting feedback as that rolls out, because there's a new challenge every day, and the team is quickly responding, and bringing on the right people from the beginning has been key to that. And definitely since over the last 18 years, I've made some of those mistakes of not bringing the right people in, and culture fit is so important to the early on success of a startup.
That's so true. Thank you for sharing that. And just lastly, for anybody who's watching that might want to learn more about Hive Networks, where can they find you?
Yeah, they can go to our website at hivenetworks.com and find out much more information on our solution.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Scott, for sharing all that with us. Keep up the great work, and hope you and your team stay safe.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.